is good? It is your car man CJ with Car Buyer University, and I am here to talk to you about leasing today. I've gotten a lot of questions of late about leasing, how leasing works, how's a lease payment calculated, what are some of the ins and outs, do's and don'ts about leasing. And so I wanted to make this short video to explain a little bit about the payment aspect of how a lease payment is calculated. And hopefully you find a little bit of value in this. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is a screenshot that I took from Toyota.com, and it's promoting their 22 Camry LE with a lease payment of $319 per month for 36 months or 3 years with $3,000 out of pocket. So as you can see, that is the payment that they have listed right about here in this area. And down below here is all your fine print. This gives you the details of the lease for the most part. And as you can see, it's very hard to read. So what I did is I copied that, I printed it into a Word document, and I enlarged it so we can take a look at it. So this is what it says. I won't read everything, but I will read some of the key points. In blue, you will see there MSRP of $27,039. That would be the vehicle that this particular ad qualifies for. A net cap cost of $25,008. We'll talk about that in a moment. And a lease in purchase amount of $14,331. As the ad mentioned, you will need $3,000 due at lease signing. Of that $3,000, $2,030 will go towards your down payment. $319 of it will go towards your first payment, and $650 goes towards their acquisition fee. A couple of areas I highlighted in red. Not all customers qualify. They always put that in there. Tax title license is extra. We will talk about tax, but it's interesting that this particular ad does not include title and licensing fees. So those will be extra amounts that will come due when this deal is being done in the dealership. But for now, it's not included, and we'll talk about tax here in a moment. Towards the bottom there, cannot be combined with TFS APR cash, lease cash, customer cash, Savinit cash. If there's any of that extra cash money, you cannot take this lease special and get that cash as well. That used to be par for the course before the pandemic, basically. But now they're saying you got to pick one or the other. And in this case, there is no cash. It's only a lease special. And lastly, they added dealer sets final price because dealers are marking their vehicles up over a sticker. And this is how Toyota covers themselves by saying, hey, dealer sets a final price. It's not up to us. There are 3 parts that make up a lease payment: depreciation, rent charge, and taxes. All 3 of those items are calculated separately, and then they're brought together, and that will give you a final lease payment. So let's take a look at them. Depreciation is the larger of the 3 amounts, and it is simply that you are paying for the depreciation of the vehicle while you have it and while you're driving it. So they calculate depreciation based on how long you're going to have the vehicle and how many miles you plan on driving, which is why they have mileage restrictions on leases, because they pre-calculate everything. So the net cap cost on this deal, there is a formula to calculate this. It is net cap cost minus residual divided by term. That is the formula. And in the fine print, all those items were listed there, and you can use that to calculate these things. So the net cap cost was $25,008. The residual is actually $14,331. However, in the ad, they did not say residual. It wasn't listed as residual. They listed it as lease in purchase amount, which is the same as residual value. Just like I talked about in previous videos and social media posts, if you have a lease right now, you look on your lease contract, you have a residual amount or a lease buyout amount on that contract. If that amount is lower than what the value is currently of that vehicle, you can buy it for that amount, turn around and sell it for the higher amount. People have been doing that a lot recently because of the values have been so out of whack because of the pandemic and whatnot. So all the details are there, and we know it's a 36-month lease. So net cap cost 25,008 minus 14,331, which is the residual. That gives you a total of 10,677. That is the depreciation amount. That's how much the vehicle will depreciate over the next 3 years at 12,000 miles per year. You take that 10,677 and divide it by those 36 months, you will get a number of $296.58. That is the depreciation amount that you have to pay for per month. Rent charge is just a nice way of saying this is how much we're going to charge you to loan you this money. And there's a formula to calculate this as well. There's a formula to calculate everything in the lease. You just need to know the formulas. And it's pretty simple. Net cap cost plus residual times the money factor. Now, the money factor is the lease version of an interest rate. You can't apply an actual interest rate to it because you're not buying anything. So they came up with a formula to figure out how much they're going to charge you to lend you that money. So we know what the formula is, and we have most of the data to put into the formula. So let's do this. Net cap cost 25,008. Residual 14,331. Those numbers are the same. But right now you're adding those two numbers together. Don't freak out. It will make sense. But you're adding those two numbers together. When you do that, you get 39,339. Now what you're going to do is multiply that number times the money factor, which is always a decimal point, because again, not an interest rate, so it can't be a percentage. And if you do take that 39,339, multiply it by the money factor on this deal, which is 00057, which is a very good money factor, you come up with a total of $22.42. That represents your monthly rent charge. Now, people are probably wondering, hey, Chris, where'd you find that 00057 money factor? Well, it's never disclosed typically, but you can figure it out. But it's really easy to find that 2242. All you need to do is take the advertised monthly payment. In this case, it was $319. We already calculated what the depreciation was. So you subtract the depreciation amount from the listed car payment, and what's left over will be your rent charge. In this case, $319, you're subtracting $296.58. That leaves you with $22.42. That's the simple way to do it. Now, for people who want to get into the weeds, you want to figure this out on your own, fantastic. You're going to have to do the math backwards. So what I did was I took the 39,339 and I multiplied it by 00100. And I came up with a number. That number was in the 30s, $32, $33 or something like that. That tells me that that money factor is too high because I already know that the rent charge is $22.42. So then I just kept doing the math until I got to the right number. And ultimately, the right number was 00057.4. That is the exact number that will give you $22.42. But for the most of us, just take the monthly payment, subtract the residual, and that will give you what your rent charge is. Taxes. Like I mentioned, there's a formula for everything, including the taxes. And taxes are paid on a monthly basis with a lease. And the tax rate is based on where you live or where you register the vehicle. For example, this example that I'm about to talk to you about is using a rate of 9%. So what is the formula? Depreciation plus rent charge multiplied by your tax rate. Our depreciation is $296.58. Our rent charge is $22.42. That equals $319. That's the advertised monthly payment. So as you can see, all the numbers match up. If you're ever doing the math and one number doesn't match up to another number, you did the math wrong somewhere. So when the numbers match up, we know we have done the math correctly. So $319 times your local tax rate. Like I mentioned, this example, I'm using a California tax rate of 9%, which gives you a total of $28.71. That is the third portion of the pyramid that we saw earlier. So now we know our depreciation amount, we know our rent charge, we know what our monthly tax rate is. So now we just put all three together to get our total payment. So here we have it. To calculate your final lease payment, you simply add your depreciation, your rent charge, and your taxes. $296.58 plus $22.42 plus $28.71 is a grand total of $347.71. That would be your all-in monthly payment on this lease example for this 22 Camry. Now, again, there could be some other things that are not being accounted for right now. For instance, title and licensing fees, any other fees that the dealer may have, they may throw in there. Of course, if they charge over a sticker, that's going to change everything because of the amount, the price will be higher. But just from a very basic standpoint, that is how a lease payment is calculated. Those are the formulas, and these are the three parts that make up a lease payment. So hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, please like, share, tweet, send out, repost, whatever you got to do. I'm trying to build the tribe. I'm trying to build the community, and let's notify as many people as we can about what we do here, so we can help them understand the car buying process, so everyone is getting a good deal when they go and buy their car. So until next time, it's your car man CJ.